Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Alex, and in this video I'll be showing you how you can create component, not just component but reusable component, and also how you can create instant swap and component properties as well. Without further ado, let's dive into it. So I have here an example or a frame of reference that I'll be using to create this component, and that is the UberEat website, and I'm going to break it down in this video by showing you how you can create component that you can reuse across a project like this. All right, so here in Figma I already have this component designed already, where I have this component properties as a name, the fee. I can make the updates here. I can change this to maybe $5 and I update that. I can change it from 10 minutes to 15 minutes to 30 minutes as the case may be, right? And it's updated here as well. I can change this from being an icon to the rating. I can change this as well. I can change the name of the restaurant here. I can put in just restaurant tied to, and it's updated as well. I can change the image if I want to. In the next few minutes I'll be showing you how you can create this from scratch, right? So first, let's create a new Figma file. So I have my new Figma file set up, and the first thing I want to do is to bring in the screenshots that I screen grab from the UberEat website, and this is a screenshot. I'm going to drag and drop it here, and next thing I want to do is to bring in all the icons I'm going to need for this design. And also I'm going to show you how you can get these icons as well. So there's a website called Streamline here, streamlinehq.com. It's a great website where you can go and get icons that you need for your project. They also have a plugin that you can install, and you can use, basically search for the icon you're looking for, and you can drag and drop that here, or you can just click and add them, or you can use the material symbol, which is totally free. Let's get back to the design. I'm going to create a section for this. I can press Shift S. I'm going to draw a section. I'm going to call this icon or icons. I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to move it inside here. I'm going to make this an auto layout so that way it's arranged, and then I can ungroup it. I'm going to click on this drop down arrow, and I'll click on create multiple components. Now for us to achieve what we call swap instance, we have to have this icons as component. Also, I'm going to create an interactive component, so that way I can toggle between the outline state and the solid state of this icon. First, let's create all the elements that will have the header section. I'm going to press A on the keyboard, and I'll click where we'll have desktop. I'm going to click on wireframe. I'm going to call this maybe home or restaurant, whatever name I want to use. Great. I'll just go ahead and add a layout grid rather column. I can set it to 8. I can set the margin to 48, and the gutter can be 24. Awesome. I'm going to draw a frame for my header section. I'm going to make the size to be 96, and the width can be 1440, and I'm going to push this up, give it a stroke. I'm going to add a stroke by bottom stroke, and I can change the color to maybe something like this. Great. Next I want to do is to add my hamburger icon, and then the logo and my menu tab here, or tab bar. We will have the icon section. I'm going to draw a line here. I'm going to increase the stroke width to 2 pixels, make the side or the edges to be rounded. I'm going to duplicate this. Distance here can be 8. Duplicate it one more time. I can highlight all of it, press Shift A, and I'm going to call this menu icon. And also I'm going to make it a component. Great. Now I can copy this, come here and paste it, Command V, and then I can position it the way I want, set it properly, 48, which is our margin. Then I can press F on the keyboard. I can draw a frame for my image. That's for the logo. This is great. I can give it a feel so that way I know exactly what it is, where it is. And I can go back to my browser and I'm going to go to Google, or I can go to the website, right click on this and click on copy image, or I can just go to Google and type in UberEat logo. I can click on this and then I can right click, or let me use this one instead. Right click on it, copy image, and I'll just come here, double click on this frame. I'll change it to logo. That's the title of the frame, to logo, and I'll press Command V, and the logo is way too big, and then I'll click and drag it in to reduce the size. Then I can zoom in to reduce it some more, and something like this is okay. So we have a logo. I can just go ahead and hide the fill here. I can check the distance. 16 is great. Then I can change this title of this frame to header. Awesome. I'm going to create a new section here, and I'm going to call this component. Great. I'm going to add a text. I'm going to call this menu 1, and I'm going to change this to 16. I'll change the font to Manrobe, and I'm going to use medium. Great. I'll press Shift A on the keyboard to make it an auto layout, and I'm going to reduce the vertical padding to maybe 4, and this can also be 4 as well. I'm going to add a fill to it, give it a corner radius of 100, and then I can double click or just click on the text inside. I'm going to change the color to black, or I can use the black I want, and I can go ahead and save the color as a style. I'm going to call this black or text color. This one I'm going to change the frame title to tab. I'm going to duplicate this and call this tab 1, tab 2, and I'm going to call this menu 2. Then I'm going to select the 3 tabs. I'm going to press Shift A on the keyboard, and I'm going to reduce the spacing between it. I'm going to change it to 4, and I'm going to give it a vertical padding of 4 and horizontal padding of 4. Then I'm going to add a fill to it. I'll change the fill color to this. I think this is okay. Give it a corner radius of 100. So now we have our menu bar, and I can go ahead and change it to menu tab or menu bar. Great. Now there's something I want to show you. If I drag this, I want it in a way that I can also expand this frame, and then the text get to expand, make it responsive. A good way to do that, I'm going to click on each of these elements, and I'm going to change it from hug to fill. That is the horizontal resizing. So that way, if I get to expand this, it expands with it as well. So this is okay. And I can go ahead and highlight this to other tab, and I'm going to hide the fill. So that way we have only one active. We can make this semi-bold so it's different from the rest. And I'll go ahead and make this a component. I'll just come here, click on create component, and after creating the component, I can add properties to this. I don't want to always come here and double click on this text or double click on this element to change the copy, right? I can just do that from the property panel, and the way to do that, I'm going to click on this text, and I'm going to add a text property to it. So I'm going to click on create text property, and I'm going to change it to menu 1, menu 1, and I'm going to change this to either menu 1, tab 1, anyone I want to call it, that's great. I'll double click on this and I'm going to create a text property. I'm going to call this menu 2 and double click on this as well, and I'm going to call this menu 3. If I copy this and have this displayed here, I can easily change the menu. Like we'll have menu 1, I can just come here and then click on, just type in delivery rather, press enter, and I can change this to pickup, and I can also do the same thing here, dining, just like we'll have here. Okay, I think there's no space in the pickup. Let me just make that update here. So without necessarily clicking on this to change the text, I can just have the component active and then I can change the text here. And I'd like to increase the height of this, maybe 48. And one thing we did not do, we did not update this to feel vertically, just like the way we made it to feel horizontally. So we can highlight each of these elements again and then click on fill container. So that way, if we get to increase the height of this menu or container, it's going to adjust as well with it. And that change will also reflect here on the instance components. All right, so having done that, next one we'll do is to create the search bar. I'm going to go ahead and create a new frame. Our size 48. I'm going to give it a corner radius of 100, and I'm going to bring in my search icon. So I have a search icon here. I'll just click and drag it here by holding the option key, and I like to set the padding to 16 here and 12 vertical and 16 horizontal. And I'm going to add the text. I'm going to say food, groceries, drinks, then etc. I can increase this a little bit, align this to be at the center. The spacing here can be, as the padding can be 8, make this to be regular. I can change the text to this gray. I can reduce this font, this icon size rather, but I think it's cool like this. And then I can change the name to search box. I can go ahead and make this a component. So that way, if I want to make any change to this element, I can make the change right on this parent or main component, and it's going to reflect on the instance. Let me paste my search here, and I'll need to update the color. Maybe this one. I think this is way, yeah, something like this is okay. I can give it an outline if I want to. Great. And this icon looks a little bit too big. I can just constrain the proportion, make it 18 and center it properly. I can adjust this. Yeah, I think this is okay. Great. The next I want to do is to create a button. Now we're going to create this button in a way that we can swap the icon. We can hide this if we want to, and also we can also hide this icon as well. It's going to be interesting, and I want you to pay attention to how I'm going to create this. So first I'm going to press T on the keyboard. I'm going to add my text. I'm going to say button, and I want to use either medium for this. I'm going to press Shift A on the keyboard to make it an auto layer, and I'm going to call this primary button or main button. Any one, it's okay, or whatever naming convention you want to use, that's great. And I'm going to add a corner radius of 100. I'm going to give it a fill color. I can change the color to black so that way my text is visible. I can update the padding. Let's say 16 looks a little bit too much, maybe 12. And then corner radius, the horizontal padding can be 16. Great. Next I want to do is to bring in my icon. So I can bring in the cat icon. I'm going to copy it, click on the button, paste it right here, and then adjust it to the left. I can change the color to white. Make it pure white, and then I can save it. Now next I want to do is to add this dot and then this counter. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to open my character viewer here on my Mac. I'll add this dot, let me close it. I also duplicate it one more time, and I'll type in 0. I'm going to highlight these two elements, and I'm going to make it an auto layer. Press Shift A on the keyboard, and I like to change the spacing here, update that to 4, and I'm going to call this counter. Great. So I've succeeded in creating a button that has an icon, the text, and also the counter inside, which has a separator. And I'm going to make this a component. So I'll just come here, click here to create components. I'm going to create the component property. So this is where it gets interesting. So first I'm going to do, I'm going to make this icon. I'm going to add a property for instant swap. I'm going to double click on the icon, and right here we'll have the icon. Remember, it has to be a component before this is going to work effectively. I'm going to click on create instant swap property. Now once I do that, it's going to show me this pop-up or this modal, and I'm going to change it from instance to icon, and I'm going to click on create property. Now I want to add a text property to this text. Right here on the text property, I'm going to click on this icon to create text property, and I'm going to change it from text to label. I'm going to click on create property. Here I want to add a boolean property to it as well. I'm going to click here, or I'll just add the text property to this first. I'm going to call this, create a new property. I'm going to call this counter. Let me just call it counter. I'll click on create. You can change this name to whatever name that resonates more with you. And I'm going to click outside, click back, and make sure my counter is active. Right where we'll have layer, I'm going to click on create boolean property, and I'm going to leave it to show counter. So I want it to show the counter, and right now it's showing the counter, which is true. I'm going to click on create property. Now we've succeeded in creating an instant swap, a text property, and a boolean property to this button. And I'm going to copy this here on my head. I'm going to paste it. I can adjust it properly to whatever direction I want. Let me align this properly. Great. Awesome. Align this as well. Now I can turn off the counter if I want. I can edit the text if I want, and also I can change the icon, maybe to another icon if I want as well. Right. Very simple. And this is one great thing that you can use the component properties in Figma to achieve. And the text of the copy we'll have here is cart, login, and then sign up. Where we'll have a label, I'm going to change it to cart, and I'm going to duplicate this button and I'm going to hide my counter, and I would like to change the text to login, and I'm going to change the icon to this one, right? And I can change the color of the button, maybe to this gray. Update the color to light gray, this one, and then I can change the color of the text to black, and this as well. And I can also duplicate this, Command D. I can hide this icon, but it's best we add it to the component. So we can add it as a boolean property to the main component. So I'll just click on this to go to main component, and I'm going to double click on this icon. I'm going to click here to create a boolean property, and I'll click on create new, and I'll edit this. I'm going to just say show icon, and I'll go back to the instance, and I can turn off the icon, and I can have this. I can just go ahead and update the text here to sign up. Next I want to do is to create these cards here, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a frame for the card. Let's say of size 180 286 by 180. I'm going to give it a corner radius of, let's say, 16. I'm going to add a fill, maybe of this color, just for the sake of the illustration, and then I'm going to add my text and my icon as well. Let me copy this, but before I do that, I want to make this an interactive component, and I'll just go ahead and duplicate this by holding Option. I'll drag it down here. I'm going to detach it, and I'm going to create another duplicate again. Now I'm going to call this heart outline and heart solid. I'm going to click on the icon. I'm going to add a fill to it, remove the stroke, and change the color to black. I'll do the same thing here, change this color to black, and I'm going to increase the stroke width to 2 pixels. Having done, I'm going to highlight the board icon, and right here in the component drop down, I'm going to click on it and click on create component set. I'm going to change this to heart, the title, instead of component 1 to heart icon. And I'm going to go to prototype mode. I'm going to click this and then drag this plus arrow to this. The property here, that's the setting, is okay instance, which is great. I'm going to also click here and point it back to this one. So that way, if I get to click on this, it's going to change to the solid state. If I click on it when it's in the solid state, it's going to switch back to the outline state. And I'm going to go back to design mode. I'm going to copy this one and paste it right here. I can position it the way I want. I want to have a distance here of 16, and also at the top here 16 is great. Next I'm going to add my text. So I'm going to say restaurant name. I'm going to change the size of this to 18. Medium is okay. The distance here can be 16, and then I'm going to bring in a new text. I'm going to say delivery, so I'll just add the price. I'm going to say delivery fee. There's a separator here, right? That's a dot. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to open my character viewer, and I'm going to add that dots here. Just double click on the text and edit it. And I'm going to duplicate this one more time, and I'm going to put in the time of delivery 15 to 20 minutes, and I'm going to change this font size to 14. Distance here can be 4, which is okay. I'm going to bring this closer, make the distance here 4, and I'll highlight both of them and press Shift A on the keyboard to make an auto layout. And I'm going to call this delivery time, and the distance here can be 8. And I'll highlight, while this is selected, I'm going to highlight the text here and then make it an auto layout. Shift A on the keyboard, and I'm going to call this delivery fee plus time. Distance here 4, that's the spacing, is okay. And next I want to do is to add my rating, which is this one. I'm going to draw a frame. Let me use a frame of size 32. I'll just come here and modify it and give it a color and add a corner radius of 100. I'm going to add a text inside of it. I'm going to say 4.6. I'll align it to the center, and I'm going to highlight it to this text and align it properly. Distance, let me adjust this to 8, adjust this to 0. So we have the element of our component ready. And then one last thing we need to add is the promo banner. So here inside of the frame, I'm going to draw another frame, or I'll just go ahead and just put in the text. I'll just call this promo banner text. I'll press Shift A on the keyboard to make it an auto layout, and I'm going to add a corner radius of 100. I'll add a fill. I'm going to change the fill here to a dark green, and then I'm going to change the color to white, and I like to give this a padding of 16 here, and then I'm also going to click here to give it a padding, let's say of 64. I think 64 is way too much. Let's give this 32 and bring it somewhere here. I can move it up a bit. I can reduce the vertical padding to maybe 4, so that way it's not taking a lot of space, and the padding here will be 16. I think 16 is okay. Yeah. We can update this text. 14 is great, or we can use 12. This will be our promo text. So we have all the elements that we need for our component. I'll just go ahead and highlight all of it and press Shift A on the keyboard. So that way it's going to make it an auto layout. I'm going to change this. Let me make this 8. I'm going to highlight these two elements, press Shift A on the keyboard. I'm going to change it to 0, and I can change this to content. Let me just leave that content, and I'm going to change this. Let me call this promo banner, and this is our image, and I'm going to call this restaurant card. Great. So now we're going to make this a component. So I'll just click on this icon to create component, and we're going to use the boolean property. Also going to use instant swap here as well. Here we don't need to do anything because we've already added the interaction to the main component, which is this one. So in prototype mode, we can just click to switch it between the field and the outline state. Okay, and also we're going to add a text property to this. So let's start with this one first, but before I do that, I would like to add an image. So I'll just go to my browser, and I'm going to search for UberEat photo. And I'm going to select maybe this one or any other one. A lot of images here. Let me go with this. I'm going to right click on this, copy image, go back to Figma, and right here we'll have our image frame. I'm going to press Command V on the keyboard to add the image. I can reduce the size of the image by adjusting it manually. I'll double click, adjust it here. Why I'm making this adjustment is because if I want to replace this image, let's say on a child component or instance, I can just click on the image here. Like I said, change photo, copy and replace. So let's say I have another image. I go back to my browser. Let's say I want to use a different image, maybe this one. I'll just right click on this, copy image, and if I have this as an instance, I can just click here. We'll have copy and replace and paste that image, and it's going to replace the image for us. So that's what I want to achieve, and because I want this component to be reusable across, and I'm using this approach for now. Our image is covering our promo banner, so we need to hide it, or we need to push it, or we need to drag it down, maybe somewhere here. Nope, I think I missed it. Or let me just use my command square bracket. You can see the shortcut here to move it backward. First, I'm going to add a boolean to this. I'm going to click on this as a promo banner. Where we'll have the layer, I'm going to click on this icon to create the boolean properties. I'm going to say show promo banner true, which it is, and I'm going to click on create property, and I'm going to add a text property to the promo banner, and I'm going to add it here. I'm going to say promo text, which is great. And here I'm going to add a text property to this restaurant name. And one thing I would like to do is to adjust the size, maybe somewhere here, maybe here, so that way the text can take up to this point. And I would like to reduce the spacing here manually. And the distance here, this size is 286, so I would like to make sure that this is also in line. 286. So I can add 2 more. That's 3, making it 286 with our actual frame size, which is 286 as well. And we can change this color of text to maybe this gray. Awesome. We have our text. Let me add the text property here. I'm going to call this restaurant name. And also I can add the text property to this as well. I'm going to call this delivery time, or just say time. And I'm going to call this create a text property. I'm going to call this fee. Great. And one thing I would like to do is to create an instant swap property to this particular element. I'm going to go ahead and change this to rating. So in order to make it an instant swap, remember I mentioned that it has to be a component. So because it's not a component, that is why that option is not showing here. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come here. We'll have our icon. I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to make this a component. So now that it's not a component, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come back to our restaurant card. Here, I'm going to paste this here and then delete this one that is not a component. And if I click on this as the rating, I can now add the instant swap property to it. So once I click on this, I'll say change icon. I'll click on create property. And if I go back to the instance, I can change the icon here to maybe this one, or I can use any other icon that I have in my local component library as well. I can do the same thing here. That's one great thing with using components. So as we get to make the change to the main component or the parent component, it's updated on the instance as well. I can go ahead and hide the promo banner for this one if I want to, and I can change the image as well. So let's say I have a different image, maybe something like this. This image is a bit pixelated. Let me use this one for the sake of the illustration. I'm going to copy image. I'll come here. We will have the image. I'm going to open it up, copy and replace. I'm going to just click on it and then press Command V, and I can change the color of this icon by going to the main component, and I can update that to the selection color. I'm going to change it to white. I can do the same thing here. And if I go back to the instance, I can see the change as well. Now let's preview this and see how it looks. If I click on this, it changes because we added an interaction to the component. So this is how you create a reusable component using component property here in Figma, and I'm going to show you how you can create this other part of the menu in my next video. So thank you for staying to the end of this video. Please do well to give this a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel, so that way you will not miss the next video I'm going to drop very soon. And let me know your thoughts as well in the comment section. For now, that's goodbye from Alex, and I'll catch you in the next one.